PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcaster that's here to remind you to pet your pets, but not, you don't necessarily have to pet them. Certain pets, they say, hey, yeah, get over here. You know what I could use? A few more pets. And I don't know if I talked about this. I probably have recently, but that's a new part of my bedtime routine in between meditating and foam rolling is petting, or sometimes, to be honest, during meditating, petting Koa and like just taking some more time to pet her. I mean, I usually do, but you could also, emotionally pet your pets, non-petting pets, just say something sweet to them. Or I don't know if your pets are into like, what is that called? Like, ooh, Google, baby talk. I don't know. Some pets, especially cats, I'm just guessing may not like that. But now you might be thinking, what is this person talking? I thought I was listening to a sleep podcast. Well, I'm so glad you're here. Yep, this is a very different show. Welcome to Sleep With Me, the podcast that's here to put you to sleep, but really it's here to keep you company while you fall asleep. It does take some getting used to. But this podcast is here because you deserve a friend in the deep, dark night. I'm here to keep you company while you fall asleep. So I'm so glad you're here. Just give the podcast a few tries. Like I said, that's what most regular listeners say. But what we got coming up here is there'll be some support. That's how we get to put this podcast out twice a week for free. Then there'll be a long, meandering intro meant to ease you into bedtime. And after that intro will be a bedtime story from our episodically modular series you can listen to in any order, Make Great Pets, about how great it's about pets. It's not about making pets, by the way. But it is about making pets helpful. No, it's not about making pets do anything. Interesting, just like reminded me of the song. And it also reminds me of something you'd say if you worked somewhere. You say, what's our mission? Make great pets. Excuse me, point of inquiry. We don't make pets here. And we don't, we barely can influence pets. So, and they say, okay, we'll give you a reassignment. It sounds like this program's not for you. But, and that may be the case with this podcast, but give it a few tries, see how it goes. I'm so glad you're here. I got lost in the beginning of the show. What do you say? Welcome to Sleep With Me, the podcast that's here to put you to sleep. And here is a couple of ways we're able to do it for you for free twice a week. Hey everybody, it's Scoots, and it is time to talk about our Patreon. It keeps the show going. You may have heard me in the Sleepy Supporter Zone. I hear from a lot of people who aren't in a position to support the show. So if you are, and you get value out of the show for yourself, we've got exciting news. Subscriber summer's coming up. Not only to get to support the show, staying free for everybody else, but you get more stuff. Best of both worlds, right? If you sign up now, you'll get access to all the stuff we got coming out this summer. You do not want to miss out. We're going to have tons of exclusive content just for patrons and subscribers, but there's already thousands of episodes in the $10 and $20 feed. I think there's over 2,000 different things to listen to. So there's something for everyone. A few patrons love the ad-free episodes. Others prefer the all-intro episodes, and still others prefer the story-only episodes. There's also the all-night compilations of old series, bonus content like Fearless Flyers, exclusive Star Trek TNG episodes, and if you're a regular listener, you like to pick and choose your favorites, Patreon's the way to go. We're able to put a lot of stuff in there that wouldn't work in the free feed, like on-location episodes and more. So don't wait. Check it out at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it's time for the new Deep Dark United Supporter Zone. I've learned from all that feedback, we're all in this together. And I want to thank Nico, who supported ZocDoc for both a doctor and a dentist. Let me know about it on Twitter. Thank you, Nico, so much. This is why we celebrate the Deep Dark United Supporter Zone we're here because people who support the show directly or support the sponsors are what enable us to come out free. I've heard from so many people that just aren't in a position to support the show, and they love the Deep Dark United Supporter Zone too. That's a mouthful. It's a mouthful before I put you to sleep so I can keep putting you to sleep. So thank you, Nico. And yeah, if you want to be a part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone, support a sponsor, support the show, let me know about it. Fill out the form on our sponsors page, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors, so I can thank you here in the Sleepy Supporter Zone. Second part of Sleepy Supporter Zone, you get the support you need. There's links to resources in the show notes where you could connect with right now, including international resources. It's also about taking action to support other people, to support the communities we're in, not just saying Black Lives Matter, not just saying stop AAPI hate, not just saying support Ukraine, but learning more and taking action. There's links to resources. We could do that right now in the show notes. And actually, one of the podcasters, one of the things I'm just kicking off right now, right here, is the Stop Hate fundraiser. Is another podcaster that I've never even met before, Alicia Stella, who runs a podcast and YouTube channel called Park Stop and is running the Park Stop Stop Hate fundraiser. It supports the Trevor Project. And if you want to support it, use the links in our show notes. You'll be hearing more about it in more detail soon. It kicks off in June, but you could get ready. You could sign up as soon as you're hearing this. Use the links in our show notes. The fundraiser starts June 3rd, and that's the Stop Hate fundraiser event from Alicia Stella at Park Stop. So join, be a part of. It's fun. That's the thing. Supporting other people, being a part of community, it helps. It does help get a good night's sleep. Oh, Mystery Bard. A lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mr. Bard. If you can get your Sleep With Me branded sleep phones at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleepphones and use Sleep With Me to save $5 on your order. And what do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. It could be thoughts, things on your mind, thoughts, thinking stuff. So thoughts, it could be feelings, anything you're feeling coming up for you emotionally, related to those thoughts, past, present, future, feelings that are just there. It could be physical sensations. It could be changes in time, temperature, routine. You could have something coming up. You could be going through something. Whatever it is, I'm here to help, and I'm here to help by taking your mind off stuff and keeping you company so that you could fall asleep, because you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a bedtime you could look forward to, that you don't dread, at least that you could feel neutral about, where it's not like, oh my gosh, I got that rigmarole again with bedtime. I mean, I used to start dreading Sunday nights on like Saturday morning, as soon as the cartoons were over when I was a kid. And that's really it's not, it's not a great feeling. And so those are the two reasons I make the show, because I can relate to a lot of those feelings you might have, whatever's keeping you up. I might not have gone through whatever it is you're going through. Now, there's a chance that someone out there listening has, but a lot of us can relate to the feelings, or if not, relate to the fact, yeah, it's not easy and you deserve a good night's sleep. So there's a lot of other people listening that are nodding along with me saying, hey, we'd like you to have a good night's sleep. And you deserve that. And if you get the sleep you need, your life's going to be more manageable. You'll be in a better place. You could maybe be out there flourishing and living your life. That means the world's a better place. The world you're in is a better place. It's more manageable. So that's important. And that's why I make the show. What I'll do is I'll send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders and superfluous tangents. So I'm going to go off topic. I'm going to get mixed up. I'm going to forget what I was saying, all to keep you company and to take your mind off of stuff so that you could drift off, which is a little bit, you say, I don't understand. And that makes sense. When most people get to the show, you might be there's usually two main ways people get to the show. One is by accident, kind of, but not by accident, like you're looking for something to help you fall asleep, right? You're searching. And you stumble upon this podcast and now you're listening and you've probably tried tons of other stuff to fall asleep, or maybe this is the first thing you're trying. Oh boy, by the way, this is a lot different than the other stuff, but you really just want to get some sleep, right? So why wouldn't you be a little bit skeptical or a little bit on edge? That makes sense. Or someone told you about this show and you had an expectation, oh, this is a sleep podcast. It's probably like that other stuff. Are you going to, are you going to pretend that you're making Tinker toys? Like, or are you going to, is it going to be a countdown or a journey? I say, no, it's just a person that's a little bit strange, rambling on and on and on and telling you a story, like a friend, like calling a friend. So it does, and even then it takes some getting used to. That's what, like, I'm not kidding when I say this. Probably 1 million people have told me, it took 2 or 3 tries to get used to your show. First, it wasn't for me. And then I realized, oh, it's not really it's not for everybody, but it's not really for anyone. But the people it works for. Like most people that support the show and have been listening for a long time, they say, I didn't even know I was looking for this till I found it. But then they have a story like, oh, I remember listening to people talk in another room, or TV in the other room, or radio, or just calling someone and saying, hey, just talk to me while I fall asleep. Tell me a story. So give it a few tries and just see how it goes. Now, if you already loathe me, you're not alone either. So I have a website set up, sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. And that's got other sleep podcasts and sleepy stuff on there that you could check out. So, what else? Oh, so definitely. Oh, so the other things, a couple of things that take some getting used to. One is this is a podcast you don't really listen to. As I kind of said, it's kind of like background noise you could listen to. And I'm here to the very end if you can't sleep. That's what's I think that's what really ends up working about the show. I'm here to keep you company whether you're listening or not, whether you're awake or not. There are people that can't sleep that are listening, so I'm there with them. Maybe we're all keeping you company while you rest, and then we're keeping each other company. I know it's some strange digital way. You say, well, it's pseudo company. Okay. I've been, I live most of my life. I live a pseudo life a lot of times. So, you could call me pseudo. I'll call you Al. But maybe you say that doesn't make any sense at all. It's say the pseudo humor, almost mispronounced humor. Yeah, this podcast is full of pseudo humor. You say, is it anything like alt comedy? Say, well, that's funnier, I think. Pseudo comedy, it's like all comedy, but I'd have to look up to make sure I have the right definition of pseudo to actually make a joke about it, and then actually learn how to write a joke. So, but yeah, it's pseudo humorous as well as maybe it's just pseudo humorous, or I have my own humor. You say pseudo that scootsto. And that's like, so anyway, oh, what was it? You might not like me. Oh, it goes on. And so just listen to me kind of like I'm background noise. Also, I mean, this is going to be strange because this was kind of the first sleep podcast way back in 2013. This is a podcast that actually isn't here to put you to sleep. I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off stuff while you fall asleep. So there's no pressure to fall asleep. I'm going to be here for over an hour to keep you company. There's also over 500 free episodes if you need them. And there's people listening who can't fall asleep, like I said. So I'm here to be your boar friend, your boar bae, your boar sib, your boar bud, your boar bestie, your neighbor, your boar burr, your friend in the deep dark night. To keep you company while you drift off, not really to put you to sleep. But you eventually you say, wait a second, I woke up. And all I could think about is pseudo. I don't even, honestly, I don't even know how to sell pseudo, smell pseudo smell. I'm going to look it up here. But let me see what else I have to tell you first. Let's see. So, structure of the show is the other thing that can throw people off. So the structure of the show is, it starts off with a greeting that you heard. Hey, friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And then I say, oh boy, I guess it's not pseudo. Well, no. Well, tough one. It uses the word spurious in this definition. Talk about, but so let me get to this other stuff. So the show starts off with the greeting, so you feel seen and welcome. See, I might check that out. Then there's support, which is, you could pay to listen to the podcast without support, but that's what enables us to put it out for free. Then there's an intro, which is separate from the support. And that's kind of like a long, meandering show within a show to ease you into bedtime. So the intro, I don't know. So when some people don't like the support, they lump the intro in with it. But the intro is about 10 to 20 minutes long. We're in the middle of it, where I kind of introduce the podcast to new listeners, but regular listeners, they kind of get to go on a journey with me because I've never successfully come up with one intro for the show, which is good because in my opinion, whatever keeps me awake at night is more adaptable than I am during the day. And those parts of me that keep me awake at night, they're constantly adapting to the strategies I use and trying to, keep me up to think about thoughts, feelings, or physical sensations. And so continually so if I put out the same intro every time, I feel like your brain would be like, oh, there he goes again. I mean, it's more like, well, there he goes again, not making sense. But in what particular flavor of not making sense, which word will he fail to define? And then repeat over and over again. Will he look a word up? And then you fall asleep. But the intro is really meant to ease you into bedtime while you're getting ready for bed, while you're in bed getting comfortable, or while you're doing some sort of other wind down activity. There are a percentage of listeners that skip the intro, 2%, I think, and then a percentage of listeners that fall asleep right away. We're happy for them, mostly. And no, totally. We're so happy for you. And all those partners out there that are sound asleep snoring, super happy for them. But so what was I saying? Oh, that's the intro. Then there's support between the intro and the show. Again, you could pay to skip that stuff, but again, that's what you say. Well, paying for it's optional. That's cool. I get to listen for free. Then there's our story, and tonight will be our episodically modular series, Make Great Pets, I talked about at the beginning of the show. And then that's the end. So pseudo, though, turns out it's spelled Pseudo. So how the heck is pseudoephedrine, like Sudafed? Pseudo says, apparently similar or false, deceptive, sham. We keep looking here. False, pretending. Okay, so I guess pretending, pseudo-intellectual, it says. Here, number 2, as pseudo before a vowel. Having close resemblance to. So that's pseudo humor. Like I say, it's like, that's exactly what this podcast has. Pseudo jokes and pseudo humor. So that's actually accurate. It's not false or spurious. Holy cow. Word of the week. But it is, it's not the same either. You say it's like humor, but it's not. It's not quite humorous. It gives me similar reactions, pseudo-humor. Am I the first pseudo-comedian? I mean, I'm not the first I'm not even a pseudo-comedian on purpose. Pseudo-comedy, man. Somebody remind me of this, because even I don't remember this stuff. What are some the source? This is from freedictionary.com. False, pretended, artificial, fake, phony, bogus. Man, bogus. They used to say that a lot in the 80s. Quasi. There you go. Okay, so there you go. Quasi. So anyway, that's it. I'm glad you're here. I really hope I can help you get some sleep. Like a yearning, I strive to work really hard. So do a bunch of other people. A lot of people work really hard on this show. And we take pride in it because we really hope it can help you fall asleep. So thanks again for coming by. And here's a way I'm able to do it for you for free twice a week. Sleep With Me is brought to you by Progressive. Most of you aren't just listening right now. You're driving, cleaning, and even exercising. But what if you could be saving money by switching to Progressive? Drivers who save by switching save nearly $700 on average. And auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Multitask right now. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $698 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2021 and May 2022. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations. All right, everybody, this is our episodically modular series, Make Great Pets. Welcome. If you never heard an episode of this before, don't worry. It's episodically modular, meaning everything you need to know, I'll either fill you in on, or the characters, you'll be filled in. You could listen to it in any order. And that's what episodically modular means. I mean, and if you're a completist, you could just listen to this episode, then listen to all the other episodes, then listen to this one again. And then that'll be cool because then you'll say, oh, wow, you could just give it a shot like that. Or, if you need to, you could, that's why I keep all the 500 episodes free. So, but it'll be okay. Hopefully you're getting comfortable and rest. And it's a really nice tale. And it's about, it's called Make Great Pets. Originally, that was our working title. And then I said, well, I think that fits, which happens sometimes with the show, though other times it doesn't. Though I don't have an example. I know with Spice Friends, it was called Other Things, but I can't remember. So, Make Great Pets is a tale of Rin, who will explain a lot of stuff, but Rin is a being in a post-earthly existence, former human or current. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know the term. My vocabulary, whatever stage of existence I'm in, my vocabulary is like one stage behind. So you say Scooter was previously a tortoise. So his vocabulary is also he's immature. So he's the vocabulary of an immature tortoise. And I'd say that's great because I know tortoises and trees and owls are typically portrayed as the wisest of the anthropomorphized beings. So I do have that going for me. But now, so Rin is in a post-earthly existence working with a training program helping people through their pets. What could be better, right? So this is exciting stuff. Really meandering, really good for bedtime. And speaking of wise as an owl or a tree or a tortoise, sometimes I'm not sure which of those would be quietest. A tree, a tree could be creaky, an owl's got feathers and also goes hoo, hoo, hoo. And a tortoise, I would imagine, would have occasional leathery sounds. But for the most part, it's our Hollywood announcer who now I've been seeing. I still haven't seen the movie because it was somehow I don't know if animated movies have a red carpet. And I wasn't really expecting an invite to the red carpet because I would be like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. But so the box office and the reviews are stellar. And I don't know if it was an appearance on MTV's The Challenge that pushed the box office so much, but holy cow. I'm so happy to introduce our Hollywood announcer, Mr. Antonio Banderas. As the friends beyond the binary, as the ladies, as the gentlemen, as the boys and girls. Wisdom comes from so many places. Tonight it comes via make great pets. Meow. Yeah. Thanks. That's Mr. Antonio Banderas. This is Make Great Pets. Well, hey, everybody that's listening. My name is Rin, and if you're hearing this recording, you're hearing if you're hearing this recording, you're hearing it. But the purposes of this recording, which you may not be listening according to the purposes, but I'm supposed to assume you are. But just in case, either way, I'm supposed to. We're creating. I'm part of a training program, and like a lot of things, it's learning by doing. And so I'm recording my efforts to help human beings on Earth via their pets, which may sound more direct and awesome. It's still great. I'm so grateful to be here and doing this. But we don't have total control over the pets, which if you're part of the training program, hopefully you already know that, but maybe not. But so every night in the pet's subconscious or whatever, I'm able to record these training modules on my day within the pet, trying to help someone. Thus far, most of the time that I can remember, it has been the pet's owner. It has been the pet's human companion, but I don't think that's necessarily true 100% of the time. So what else so you may want a little bit of history. I like to start off with that. It also helps me. This is a program started after the Bezos Penny incident, or Bezos Sears Penny incident. You may not know this. It's just this is my version of the history that I know about. And you probably already know that there's it's still beyond my understanding, even though I'm beyond the earthly realm, how Earths work and parallel Earths or whatever, or duplicate Earths. But there was a version of this Earth that we know so well, that had guardian angels, they called them. And that was a program to help humans being human, not easy. And what set up the Bezos Penny Sears incident was that that program was fairly successful. Let's not put an opinion out there. That program was in existence. Then Richard Warren Sears, James Cash Penny, and Jeff Bezos went into they went into the world. There used to be, you could go to two places apparently after your existence. Which, holy cow, no thank you, right? I'd prefer endless. But so there's a place where you didn't do so well, and a place where you did great, and. But I guess to our benefit right now, Bezos, Penny, Sears, they eliminated that second option. If you didn't do great, I don't know, there was 8 versions down there or something, but they got rid of all of it, unintentionally apparently, but still. But that left a dearth where they said, well, what are we going to do now? Because we already have this old system in place. Turns out it's an old system, not in place anymore. And they said, well, what if we take the people that would have gone to this place for not great choices, send them back to Earth, And that didn't, I don't know if they ran that idea by everybody. You know, people, okay, all these people that didn't make great choices or a surplus of poor choices while they're on Earth, let's send them back to Earth to help people make better choices. And that didn't work out. That Earth ended up being not whatever, like unsustained, you know, it was, luckily there was backup Earths or parallel Earths. Then they went back to the original version with the Guardian Angels. The Bezos, Penny, and Sears also disrupted that because while a supervisor was on a sabbatical, that didn't work out. This is a longer history lesson than I expected. And Bezos, I guess it was Richard Warren Sears, or was it James Cash Penny? But anyway, they ended up de-existing the entire positive post-existence place. And a lot of the guardian angels and the ones that remained, they weren't doing the best job anyway. Now, don't worry. If you had somebody there was, you know, whatever, 3-2-1 rule for backups. This includes, I don't know, again, beyond my understanding. So this is a new attempt to help humans. It sounds by giving us very limited powers, almost none. We're supposed to help people at a turning point in their lives. Took me a long time to say that. So basically, thus far, I don't know what your training's been, but I find myself, there's no prep. I don't have this is my chance to decommission myself or debrief. But there's no pre-brief. I just find myself within a pet, and I can generally influence some of the pet's decisions. I've found that it's best through art or something like that, but not, look at my gerbil painting with its tail. Like, you wouldn't be able to do that anyway, because I tried, not with a gerbil. Was it with a gerbil? I can't remember. So, let's see here. So, that's basically why I'm here today, or this evening. Today was my first day with Cindy. And you could call me Feather, because sometimes Cindy wears me like a feather boa around her shoulders and neck, which is really nice for me, because I got that cool circulatory system. So being a feather boa around Cindy is really nice for me. And my name is Feather. And that's kind of my shape, though I don't have feathers. So I've seen movies about dinosaurs that say the dinosaurs had feathers, but I thought I was related to them, but I don't know. So I'm working with Cindy, and thus far today, let's see. So Cindy has Cindy's working for someone called the Benefactor, because there was a conference call with the Benefactor, and Cindy's a test designer, one of the best. And Cindy's supposed to be designing a test, now I wasn't here for all the specifications of the tests, but today was the review of making sure Cindy had everything ready because the testing's about to begin. And there was a couple basic elements of the test they wanted to make sure Cindy had in place, but they said, don't tell us about it until we see the test in action. So let's see the basics of these tests that Cindy's design, or this test or challenge, I don't know, is that partial of they have to chase. There has to be a chase after something. There also has to be a people, a place, a thing, an animal, a mineral, and a vegetable. And Cindy's designed the test to meet those specific things. But that's the only thing I heard today. And then Cindy was doing a lot of work on a keyboard, and I wasn't able to read, and I just some of it I couldn't read everything, so I could only listen. So I guess I'll be back when I learn more. But I guess I'm wondering, because normally I do these who, what, where, when, why, how. So who, so far, we just have Cindy and the benefactor that Cindy's working for. And sometimes they say they, but I don't know if that's plural too, but it's the benefactor. Because Cindy will mutter, like, the benefactor's got to have this. So it's who, what, designing a challenge or test for them. And who, Cindy, the test designer. We're in some sort of, what I would say is a high-tech facility, but Cindy's the only one there. And when I'm not around her as a feather boa, I'm in my, a cage, I guess they put, it's got a heating pad in there, though. So, yeah. What was it? Who, what, where, super, some sort of super facility. What, this challenge, but what am I here for? To help Cindy? And help her with the test? She seems pretty confident and driven. So I'm not sure what I need to help with yet, to be honest. Who, what, where, when, what. So I'm not sure when. Well, this test is built. We're building towards something. So when is coming of the test or the challenge is coming soon? Who, what, where, when, why? Why? That's another question we'll have to keep open. Who, what, where, when, why, how, and how. I don't know. So I don't know the answers to everything. Okay, so day 2. Hey, sorry, I didn't introduce. Hopefully you're listening to this as one file. I went to sleep and rested, got up, and we had a full day. And we have some of the specifics for the test and the challenge, including what the challenge is. What the challenge is for day 1, and who or whom is going to be completing this or taking this test. But the why, some of it I'm still confused about. So they're going to be chasing some sort of slip of paper, right? That's blowing away. That they somehow know it can be cashed in for a lot of money. And it's someone else's slip, but the holder, the bear, and I know I saw that movie, with Bruce Willis, where I thought it was bearer bonds, but it turns out it's bearer bonds. Now, when for so long, I said, I got to get my hand, one day I'll be in the position where I have bearer bonds, but I think a bearer bond just entitles the holder, the bearer of the bond. I don't think these are actual bearer bonds because it seems smaller. But the bearer of whatever this piece of paper is, so they're going to see someone, and I'm guessing at a bank or something, I don't know, some sort of financial thing, and they're going to chase after this piece of paper, receipt or whatever it is, or slip, as it blows away. So that's interesting. Is that part of the test? It is. I mean, that it's blown away from someone else, but if you hold it, you control it. So then, so that's part 1 of the test. And I say, okay, well, I could see what, so that's the person, I guess, people, places, and things. But then, and I'll explain more that I'm learning about the test and the technology in this facility in a little while. So then you're going to be chasing, they're going to be chasing that thing, and then they'll come upon, and this is happening in a city. But I guess you go into some sort of, maybe it's a park. I don't know if it's like the cloisters, but like a stone tower. And the thing's going to rest on the stone tower for a minute for them to see that the stone tower is about to topple over because a stone has fallen out of it. And I guess this is the mineral, right? And all they need to do, it's like a wedge-shaped stone. Or whatever, I think that was one of the first inventions, right? A wedge or whatever, I think that's what it's called. And all they have to do, it's pretty clear because of the moss and stuff that's on there, where it fell out of, and that it just fell out, or maybe it will fall out while they're there. But if they put that back in, the tower won't topple. But it also, like, adding to the decision will be that the now you might be already asking, how's any of this possible? Which I'll explain, don't worry. Because that was one of my what's, then the slip of paper will blow further, but they will have time to decide, do I just keep chasing this or do I do the stone tower or not? Then they'll like go a while longer, like chasing it and, going through obstacles, but nothing major until they come across, then they'll go through like some backyards. And this is where there's multiple things, but spread out. And one of the backyards is going to have a kitty cat, who on the other side of the, is on one side of a low fence, but too high for the cat to jump over because it's an older, bigger cat. And on the other side is a bowl of milk, and the cat is saying meow, 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 looking at the milk. And I guess the choice there would be, I don't know, I say, well, I mean, even that one, I say, wait a second, does this cat need this milk? Is it the cat's milk? Which side of the fence is the cat supposed to be on? Okay, but then the receipt still blows away. Then, later on, but not that far down, you come across someone else's garden, and they have this beautiful trellis with tomatoes and I don't know if those are runner beans or whatever, but beans and tomatoes. And this trellis actually does fall as you're approaching it, following the receipt. And it falls into like a place where it just had like one rope that broke. And it falls into some muck and it just falls down. I don't know. I think it falls into the shade from the sun. I'm putting it together, and then the receipt goes on. Then the next thing it does is the receipt gets stuck on a street sign, but the street sign happens to be, again, we're in a city center or something, like at a taxi stand, and it's there long enough that most people should be able to catch up to it. And I guess I don't know what the next choice, and that's actually... as far as I know, the test, and I guess people will be taking it tomorrow. There's 3 candidates. Candidate 1, exciting stuff. Candidate 2 and candidate 3. And they'll be taking the test tomorrow. They also referring to them as subject 1, 2, and 3, but I prefer when Cindy calls them candidate 1, 2, and 3. Because have you ever seen like there's movies where people that work in grocery stores and other things have like a kind of microphone you pull down. It's on a flexible arm and it has like a button, and then you talk into it, and at the grocery store would make an announcement. But Cindy uses that sometimes to talk to people that aren't the benefactor. But this is being conducted, and this is kind of like a what the heck for me. I'm pretty sure this is either in the present or future I didn't know was possible, or post. No one said it would all take place on Earth, so I'm like, is this some sort of post-earthly existence? But for the time being, I'm going to assume we're on Earth and it's just technology. But they're going to be taking this test more than once, apparently, and to them the test will seem real, but it's being conducted at this facility. But they won't know it's being conducted at a facility. They will think it's real in order to test them for like I said, what are they testing them for? Their choices. So I don't know. I'm starting to get like a little wiggly inside me, which isn't surprising because I'm like a feather boa, that she's wearing around her neck is a feather boa. I'm a boa like feather. Call me feather. But so... yeah. So candidate 1, 2, and 3 are taking it. Yeah, they won't remember anything. So I feel like I'm in some sort of like, part of me is in some sort of like espionage film or superhero backstory. But then the test part is like, doesn't fit that narrative. The facility fits that narrative. So I don't know. That's where my brain is like, is this post-earthly or have I stumbled upon something? And again, Cindy does not seem to need my help at this time. So I kind of feel like also a little listless. So I'll be back after the first round of testing, I guess. Okay, it's me. I'm back. And the 3 candidates or subjects went through the test. And it ended up there was some parts of the test that I didn't quite grasp at the time. So the one thing is it was a lottery ticket, and the person was outside of the lottery headquarters, and they lose the lottery ticket, and you're in casual conversation with the person when the test starts. They're walking down the street and they see somebody. And they're standing there and they say, hey, I got this winning lottery ticket. And they're laughing hysterically because they say, would you believe it? I just found it. No one even knows I have it. I didn't buy it. I just happened upon it. And they're laughing. And it's like, there's the winning numbers, the date. I'm going to go in and make sure it's a winner. But I can't believe my luck. And that's when this wind comes in and blows it out of their hand. So candidate 1 says, my goodness, let's go get it. But the person doesn't react. They're not, they're at a different age range and just not as swift as candidate 1 was. And we're watching all this with some sort of through a POV style. So candidate 1's already a little bit going back. Well, should I chase it? You want me to chase it with the person? And then candidate 1 just goes starts chasing the lottery ticket. And I said, remember, Bette Midler did this in Disney's Hollywood Studios. There was a film with Bette Midler where she's chasing a lottery ticket, but this is different than that because this isn't an actual. The candidate doesn't know that it's not a real. I'm assuming. Okay, so then they come across, so they say, okay, let me go get it. Then they come across this, what was the Stone Tower was first? They do fix candidate 1. They're a little bit, remember Chidi from The Good Place? I guess all my references feel like, but so they're kind of indecisive. So then they're like, should I fix the tower? Should I chase the ticket? Fix the tower, chase the ticket. They see such a beautiful tower, and then they just stop and they put the stone in. And then they chase after the ticket, but they do catch up to the ticket eventually. Spoiler, because, you already know the ticket was waiting for them. Then they help the cat, but they actually help the cat in a way I didn't expect, because, again, they're like, should I lift the cat over? Is this your milk? And they yell, hello. Is this somebody's cat? And because they're in between 2 backyards facing one another. And first person says, what, are you doing in my yard? And they say, sorry, I just saw this cat here. And they say, oh, that's my neighbor's cat. I don't know how it got over the fence. It's trying to get to its milk. And they say, no problem. And then they put the cat back and the cat starts drinking the milk. And then they head off after the ticket. Again, they catch up to the ticket at the trellis, and they kind of do the same thing at the trellis, but they yell, nobody comes, and they're going back and forth. Should I fix the trellis? Should I, well, geez, if this was my trellis, I'd be worried, and they actually, thought it out, well, They found some twine that was just sitting there, and they said, well, if it's my trellis, I'd want it to be fixed, because they knew that other non-pet, ground dwellers were going to come eat all the vegetables, and they were in the shade. So they put the trellis back up. They head back. They do catch up with the ticket at the taxi cab stand. They get the ticket. Then they get a cab. And they take the cab back to the person who just happens to still be there in front of the lottery office. And they say, I found your lottery ticket that you found. And the person says, thanks. And they said, I took a cab here to give it to you. I bet you're so happy. And they say, thanks. And then they just go into the lottery ticket office. And candidate one just shrugged their shoulders and then went off wherever thought they were going. Now, candidate two was very swift to test. They started the test the same way, and they had the discussion about the lottery ticket. The lottery ticket blows off. They say, you're going to chase after that? And the person says, I don't think I can. I don't think I'll ever catch that ticket. And they say, the candidate two goes, easy come, easy go. I mean, I guess you found it, so there's nothing lost anyway. How much was the winnings anyway? And they said, like, $35 million or I don't know. And they said, well, maybe they said, oh, well. And then they went back, head off. And I said, that's an interesting way to take a test you don't know that's unexpected. And actually, I felt some an unexpected reaction from Cindy, too. Now, candidate three, they start out the same way. And the person tells them that they say, I got this ticket, I found it, and then the ticket blows away. And they say, did you lose a ticket? And then they said, what? And then they run off after the ticket. And the ticket again, I guess is gauged to their speed because they couldn't catch up with it. So they were very fast. And they went to the Stone Tower. And they kept going after the ticket. Stone Tower Falls. They almost had caught the ticket, though, and I thought the test was going to end. And then they just go to pass the cat. They jumped over the cat. I think there was, am I missing something? But I don't know. The Stone Tower Falls, cat keeps meowing. Trellis falls. They, run past the trellis. They get to the taxi stand. They get the ticket. They say they take the cab for 2 blocks, away from where the lottery office is. Then they walk and they're across the street and they watch and they see the person waiting there. And they wait for them to leave. And eventually they head off, in the direction of the ticket, but they kind of look like they've already given up. And then they go into the lottery office, and they win the lottery. And it ends up it's 9 numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. So in some sense, they, like I said, wait a second, who, what, where, when, how, why? Did they win? And then, so then the tests are completed, right? Or the candidates are completed. Then there's a debrief call with the benefactor. And the first is kind of like going over what happened and, oh, what are your thoughts? Okay, what are your thoughts? And they say, okay, we want to make some adjustments for tomorrow. And they say for candidate 1, we want to see if you can adjust anything that makes them skip one of the steps, anything to change their behavior, to not make as many stops. And Cindy says, okay. And then they say for candidate 2, could you make any changes to try to get them to take the test? Because obviously they took it, but in their own way. They also refused. And she said, okay, yeah, I think I can make an adjustment. And they say, with candidate 3, is there anything you can do to slow them down and maybe make them like slow down and take, to maybe take, see if they'll take any of those other side, things. And Cindy says, okay, interesting. So Cindy was there trying to make adjustments. And I said, I guess this is where I'm supposed to help because Cindy was kind of brainstorming. And particularly on one, she was like, okay, this is kind of easy. Like, I don't know what we'll do, but she said I could change the neighbor, make them more adamant, maybe make the cat, like change the milk, maybe change the cat a little bit, maybe change some of the script at the beginning. So she said, okay, I think I got that. And for candidate 3, so, okay, well, yeah, I can, and she goes, oh, wait a second, that's like, you can't go too far in changing things that I'm like, actually, because at first she was like, I'll just put, like, I'll have a fly under the wedge, then they'll have to pick up the wedge. Maybe they'll shove it in. And she said, wait a second, that's not changing it too much, okay. And she said, I could use the same, she goes, I could change the script slightly again, and maybe like use this, okay, and then I'll change it for the first person, but that's okay. And she goes, and actually that would, she goes, maybe, she goes, well, but no. And she goes, how's that going to, if I have to change it for everybody, how's that going to change the second person? And so for me, I was eating while she was doing this. I was having some vegetables, and I made a motion for her to split my vegetables in half because I said, well, maybe like, what if they were going to split it? Would that change? And she goes, oh, yeah. So let me split it. Let me cut these up for you. It took a while, a couple hours. And, split the winnings. So she changed the script. So I don't know. I'll let you know tomorrow, like a little bit more how it goes. Okay, so it's me again. And yeah, the testing went through again today. And so so at the beginning, the person just says, instead of like, oh no, this is, if you can get that, I'll split the money with you. And then they pause and they say, and I didn't tell you how much it is. You wouldn't believe it if I did. So go get it. And that kind of did cause candidate 1 to go a little bit faster. They still did get caught up at the Stone Tower and fix it. And then they did, like with the cat, the person did do that, but they were like, but the cat like is crying, and they said, yeah, like, they were like, get out of my yard, I don't care about that cat. But they said, then they still said, but is this your cat or not? And then they still lifted the cat over, and they still helped the trellis. And then they did the rest. And then they went back, and I guess it did change because then they went in with them and they said, yeah, you get it, whatever. And they said, well, I'll just take the cab fee. But I think they were kind of joking. The person said, okay, bye. And then they walked off in kind of disbelief. And so so then with candidate 2, the person said, I'll split it with you or whatever. And they said, oh, okay. Yeah, you split it with me. This is they didn't, I don't know if it was tough to tell if they didn't believe the person or they thought it was some sort of hidden camera thing, but they still said no. They said, so why would I chase your lottery ticket around that you just found and then they just walked off and they were a little bit more irritable. And then candidate 3, they went to the wedge, they threw the wedge instead the tower still fell over. And the cats they still went and they still cashed in the ticket, waited for the person to walk off and then went in. I mean, and so that was like, I don't know, there was a lot of unexpected stuff, and Cindy seemed perplexed by it. But then the post thing, the benefactor was like, that was excellent. That was excellent job. And they said, for the next round of tests, we want to make it slightly more obvious that they're being tested, and kind of see how they react, but not make it so obvious that they 100% know. And I want you to really get to the bottom of this. This is show us something more about these candidates. And Cindy kind of asked qualifying questions that the benefactor refused to answer. Like, what am I scoring for? What am I? They said that that's not why you're here. I said, okay, well, and Cindy was really flummoxed because it said, okay, the first part's kind of easy, but, and I said, well, the same thing I'm confused about, Cindy's confused about in a different way. And I knew, because I was something like a feather boa, I said, well, can I shape my, if I get down onto this work surface, and I shape myself like a Y, I'm not spelling out the word Y, and I'll just lay around for a while in the shape of a Y. And it wasn't a very good Y, but I did it, and eventually Cindy said, you look just like a Y. And she was trying to rewrite the script at the beginning to basically have a little bit more casual conversation before the thing that went by, but she couldn't quite get it. She said, oh, why? Like, what, why, what, and she was asking my qualifying questions here. So then the person will say with the lottery ticket, before it blows away, what would you do? I don't even know how much this ticket's worth. I know it's a full boat, though, full Powerball. And what would you do with the money? Asking the candidates, and then say, well, why, or why would you, what would be your why of what you would do with it? And then so that's what eventually Cindy settled on. And then, I guess I was confused of how that would make the test more obvious. So then I kind of redid my why, but I moved a little bit. And she said, okay, so make it even more obvious. So she worked on the script. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow. So, okay, so this is me the next day. And so this round went interesting. So it was even more front loaded, right? Candidate one and the other candidates heard the same thing from the person with the ticket, which was basically found the ticket. How lucky am I? Going to go cash it in. It's worth a bunch of money. Why would you do it? Not what would you do with the money, but why would you do it? I guess is like what I'm asking you. The person with the ticket's asking the candidate that. And it gets it got a blank look from all three people, basically. Well, I would, why, what would I do? Why would I do what would I do? Kind of like that. Every person, well, candidate three got to their answer, but we'll get to that later. So then they said, well, yeah, the why is because it's the summary. Why did I find this? I just happened to be out walking. It's not even my ticket, but I don't know whose it is. And, just all my, it's a summary of my choices. And, it seems like in this case, my choices got rewarded and that I'm the summary of my good choices. Almost like I was being tested or something. And, I guess that's a little obvious, but not so obvious because I don't think they got it. Because person one still did the candidate one still did the same thing. except at the end they held the ticket. And when they got back to the person, they said, shouldn't we find out whose ticket this really is? I think that's what I want to do with this ticket. And the other person who just takes it out of their hand and goes in and cashes it in. Then the second person, candidate 2, again, candidate 2 and candidate 3 mixed up. But the other candidate just said, basically, once it blew away, they said, well, maybe the person that lost it will find it. They said, well, why would you let a ticket so I guess there's optional post based on the reaction dialogue. And then that person just walked off. And then candidate 3 said, I got my why because I wanted. That's what they answered. And then they ran off after the ticket. And they still did all the same things. And then there was a debrief, and the benefactor said, very good, Cindy, very good, very happy with how everything's going there. Do you understand now? And Cindy said, I think I do. And the benefactor said, very good, Cindy, you're doing good. And I think you're our perfect candidate. And then they kind of logged off. And I've been waiting to tell you this, but it's kind of seems strange for me to be recording it. Then Cindy told me to get into my crate cage with my warming pad. And she said, do you understand? And she made eye contact with me. And I must have looked back at her, but she already knew. And she said, that's right. I know you're in there. As a matter of fact, I know your name's Rin. And she said, do you understand what's happening? And I thought, I was like, does she know I can't respond? She says, were you following along with everything? And I guess I wasn't totally following along. And then she said, she went on a long speech. But the gist of her speech was that her and I are similar, but also like an antithesis of one another. And that I'm my benefactor, which I don't even know I have a benefactor, is part of the old way of doing things, and this is the way that's going to work. And she goes, do you know which candidate, she goes, don't you understand? And I said, I don't think I do. Then she made it a little more obvious, even more obvious than this. She goes, it's the here and the now that's important. And the candidates that can understand that, and they don't reject the here and the now, and they don't walk away from it, but they don't also blather about with nonsense and get distracted. They're the candidates that go after it and take what they want. And those are the ones who we're here to help. And that's what's going to work. She goes, your benefactor in your way is not going to work out. And she said, we're going to still have to share some space in this chase for now. But she goes, after she goes, soon, she goes, it'll be clear that, and I said, wait a second. So are there, and again, I'm just, hopefully you already know the answers to these questions, because I don't. Are there competing programs to help people on Earth through PATS, and in this case, through Cinda and Lucinda and that who's been appearing, or through a human emissary? But there's also seems to be two competing ideas of how to help people at turning points in their lives, whether it's an unfolding process-based or a action control-based thing. But now I'm seeing it's maybe the benefit for me here, and if it is meta, because maybe this is just part of my training, and if it is, I hope it's not pass fail, but I guess it's okay if it is. So there was 3 candidates, right? We're supposed to have, and they can't manage to encapsulate all of humanity in 3 candidates. But if Cindy is trying to help the candidate twos, or, I mean, I guess in some sense they didn't change. I don't know. But it's like, do I have these, am I here to help those people that are kind of stuck in rejecting the test or apathetic about the test? And the people that are saying, hey, I'd rather choose these additive choices outside of me. I don't know. But I'm thinking that that's an advantage I have over Cinda. And maybe it's not even a competition. But it's like, oh, if I find myself in a pet tomorrow, could I help someone that's kind of stuck like 1, 2, or 3, where maybe it's not about the candidates, but the approach. But I don't know, the test. So I don't know. So I don't know what my purpose here was today, other than to try to learn and say, okay, well, I can only try to keep helping be the best pet I can. I mean, I help Cindy in this case. And it wasn't like this was just a test with candidates or. So, yeah, I guess I'll be back soon after my next journey into my next pet. And I'm going to rest and get some sleep now. Good night, everybody. I want to thank some people that became patrons recently. I want to thank Christina, Juliana, and Ryan. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. I want to thank Dixie, Madeline, and Chelsea. Thank you. Thanks, good night. I want to thank Edward, Kay, and Holly Ann. Thank you. Thanks, good night. I want to thank Mary, Salix, and Drew with you. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. I want to thank Allison, Sandy, and Sandra. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. I want to thank Derge, Jennifer, and Anna. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. I want to thank Lauren, Kristen, and Robin. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. I want to thank Dave, Shannon, and John. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. I want to thank Jennifer, Stephanie, and Candace. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. And I want to thank Steve and Kirsten. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Thanks, everybody, for supporting the show. Podcast wouldn't exist without everybody that keeps it going, either supporting the show directly or supporting our sponsors. So we're free twice a week. And then, we grow as a podcast. You know, for free, you could help the show just by spreading the word about podcasting in general. You don't have to mention Sleep With Me. That's a huge help to everybody who listens to podcasts to say, oh, cool, those podcasts are cool. So you could do that. And, and then here's either Tuck You In sponsor or Scoots. That's stuff like this is able to grow also our free archives, over 500 episodes. Thanks, and good night, everybody. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots, just checking in. Love for you to support the show on Apple Podcasts or become a patron. sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Huge ways to give value back for the value you get out of the show. You get ad-free. You don't have to listen to these messages at the end or any of the sponsor spots, but you also get a ton more content. So check it out. You can listen right in your podcast app of choice. sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Thanks, everybody.